Hey everyone, Will McReynolds, KP9 Interactive. I'm going to call this Sunday Night Sensors. So I'm going to talk about using sensors for 1DOF, 3DOF, and 6DOF with glasses in general. Because I've been talking about the NuEyes Pro 3E lately, and I'm going to talk about some other glasses here in a minute, but also just because this has been more prevalent because of my last couple of posts in the last couple of days. And I've been talking about using augmented reality without a camera and a display unit. Let me talk a little bit about how the 1DOF through the 6DOF works to illustrate that, and maybe people will, maybe some people that aren't getting it will understand it more, especially for the Reddit crowd that seems to be really not getting what I'm throwing down. So hopefully the visual is going to help this. So let's pretend this is a video or something in front of the glasses, okay? So in this case, just a TIE fighter, but we're just going to pretend it's a flat plane in front of us, and I mean plane as in a plane as in dimensioning, not a plane as in a TIE fighter plane or something like that. So we're going to look at this in front of the object. If I look up, the object's going to go with me. If I look down, the element's going to go down. If I look left, right, if I go backwards or forwards, if I translate forward or back, it's going to stay locked to that screen no matter what I do. I can go down, I can go up. It's locked to that screen. That's 1 degree of freedom. Let's add a gyroscope. So same object, same glasses, gyroscope. Enable gyroscope now. If I look up, the object stays there. If I look down, the object stays where it is. If I look right, left, up, down, roll, it stays where it is. This stays. But if I was to do it the other way, 1DOF, if I roll up, down, left, right, forward, backward, it stays. Now with 3DOF, you can do all of this, roll, up, down, you can pitch, yaw, and roll, but you can't translate. So if I go to walk forward, it will stay there. So if I looked at this and looked up, of course it's going to stay there. If I walked forward without looking at the object and back down, it would still be at the same fixed distance that it was in its initial pose. Okay? So now many of you are familiar with VR and then tracking and walking around an environment, or you've used AR Core and AR Kit or other various computer vision elements, AR on your phone, so you understand how to place something on a surface and walk up to and around it. So in this case, let's use a pair of glasses. So we're going to go away from 3DOF to 6DOF, but I'm going to go back to the other glasses for a second. Friggin' cords are huge. It's been a while since I actually used it. So here's a pair of glasses that have a camera, right? So we could use SLAM, we could use RGB, if you use AR Core and AR Kit, you can leverage just the RGB cameras. Sometimes you might implement the other cameras for doing other things like occlusion segmentation. I'm not going to get into that. I just want to help everybody understand what they may know already. So in this case, if the camera understands the environment, you now have the ability to translate. I can walk up closer to it, I can go away from it, I can go around it, I can go up and it stays there, I can go down now. Instead of just looking up and down, I can actually crouch or stand up. So most of you would be familiar with that in a VR environment, right? So now let's talk about adding a magnetometer to the mix with these glasses. So we already had, we talked about 1DOF, we talked about 3DOF, and these glasses by themselves are 3DOF, right? So now let's add a GPS to the mix. Now is the GPS going to work well indoors? No. What I'm talking about is for outdoor use right now in many ways, okay? I mean, there's other ways you can do it indoors, but our geocasts, I mean, that's what I'm focused on, is making geocasts work with these, so you can place web AR content anywhere in the world and use these or your phone and be able to have that content and not have to leverage the camera. And the phone, you use the camera for see-through reality, for looking through it, but it's not actually leveraging the camera. We do use SLAM. We do have a SLAM that we're going to be enabling on geocast, but it's going to be like a smart SLAM switching system. If it's nighttime, hey, don't use SLAM. If it's daytime, use SLAM. If the battery's low, don't use SLAM. Whatever we can do to leverage that thing. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just talk about this for a second. Magnetometer. We tie in with a phone with a GPS, and we add a magnetometer to the mix. The glasses now know which way is north. It knows where you are. So using all the sensors on the phone and the 3 IMUs on this, this one also has the accelerometer. So now we can also do actions where, I'll go back to that in a minute. Let's just talk about the magnetometer. So GPS, I can now look at an object, I can look up, look down, left, right, but now I can also walk up to and around and stand up and stand down using altitude, using elevation, and using the GPS data, okay? We have an altitude server as well, so we can also understand elevation plus other items that we've done. We've worked with many various filters we've implemented in our software. to really give a smooth translation and pose of the actual object in front of you. I've shared videos before that you may have seen of objects being placed in geocast and web AR that were accessed and available and be able to be as persistent as possible in the environment. And there's still a little bit of drift every once in a while. A lot of things can impact that. A case can impede that. But the bottom line is you can definitely have a 6 degrees of freedom with a 3DOF peripheral plugged into a phone with a GPS, any phone with GPS, and be able to pull that off. The same thing that you could do with SLAM. That's the whole point I want to get to. It's not as good as SLAM, obviously, but it's functional and it works today without killing battery. And there's privacy concerns. There's we can walk before we run. Why try to keep on condensing a full spatial rigging and get them into the form factor when the consumer doesn't even know about any of this in so many ways? Make it a content consumption device that has a few extra perks that they can learn about over time, and especially as enterprise stuff filters down to make it even more compact and the form factor smaller and battery power gets bigger and compute gets better on phones. Like, bottom up for consumer consumption, enterprise scale down, trickle down the technology, they converge. Years from now when we get that form factor, let's start talking about what we can do for people today on devices like this today, right? That's the whole point I'm talking about. We can definitely have 3DOF on a device without a camera. There's no question about it. And we're going to be rolling out some more stuff, and I hope that gives a really good understanding of what I was talking about, and maybe some of you learned something about the degrees of freedom in so many ways. I don't think it really gets talked about that much. Like the key elements to having 6 degrees of translation is being able to move up and down, be able to move left and right, moving forward and backward, swiveling left and right, tilting forward and backward, be able to pivot side to side, pitch, roll, and yaw. Right? Those are all the elements that make that available. And tie in with the GPS and magnetometer, the accelerometer. The accelerometer I forgot to get back to is, say you're looking at something in front of you and you use gaze to open up an object. You can use the accelerometer as a user interface. Like maybe I can just go like that to close the menu, right? Like there's ways you can build in interactions using the accelerometer to do different things. I might look down and something opens up. Like in geocast, you look down and the map of the map that's around you opens up. I can look down, map, look up, reality with maybe the objects. Or the cast dots that we have. So I can look at a dot, use gaze, and then the experience opens up, tilt, close, condenses down, and goes back to the reality view. Or maybe I'm walking without anything in front of me at all. I just tilt my head, it turns on the augmented reality. I'm walking along just regular sunglasses. All of a sudden, free guy. No free guy. Free guy, right? That's what you can do with an accelerometer. Use magnetometer, use the gyroscope, use the GPS, and you have 6DOF. I hope that explains some things. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see what you create as always.